So what is going on, guys? NandoPrince93 here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite iPad Pro tech accessories of 2020. You know, this iPad Pro has done me wonders this year, and I don't know where we would be or if the channel would even exist if it wasn't for this 2018 iPad Pro. So I'm going to show you guys all the accessories that I use to get all my work done and to enjoy this thing as a content consumption machine as well. So let's hop right into it. So we're going to break this accessory video down into 4 different categories for the iPad Pro. And a lot of these will work with regular iPads. It doesn't just have to be a Pro or an iPad Air. But a lot of these will work with the entire iPad line, whether it is a 10.2, a mini, or the new Air, or a brand new 2020 iPad Pro. But the 4 categories for these accessories are going to be protecting the actual device and cleanliness. Then I'm going to have sound, so basically how we're going to listen to everything that comes out of the actual iPad. Category number 3 has to do with productivity, and then the last one just has to do with charging and power to making sure that this thing is charged up at all times, guys. But let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is obviously shout out channel sponsor Paperlike. They're always keeping our iPad Pro screen protected at all times. And the number one thing I tell people to do when they get a new tablet, especially an iPad, is put a screen protector on it. Paperlike has been amazing. I love their double feature, right? So you get an anti-glare screen protector, and you also get 2 of them. But then on top of that, if you're a big Apple Pencil user, if you're a creator, a designer, or even a note taker, this gives you awesome resistance when you're using the Apple Pencil. So it feels as if you're writing on a piece of paper versus writing on a glass screen, right? When you're using an Apple Pencil on the glass screen, over time it just doesn't feel that good. Like, it doesn't feel the way it should be. So once I got the Paperlike screen protector on there, it has always been on there and it stayed on there. And you guys can see that from all my videos that there's always a screen protector on there, because at the end of the day, that screen is what you interact with on a daily basis, whether it is by touch, with Face ID, or whatever the case may be. But that screen is your portal to use that iPad Pro, so keep it protected. And it also helps resale value towards the end of it. And then another thing that actually came up pretty recently was this case by Pitaka. Now, it's not a case on its own. Now, you can rock it with just this Pitaka case, but it'd be a little bit strange because this case was made to work with the Magic Keyboard. So I've been looking for a case to cover up the sides of the iPad, because for the most part my iPad has always been protected. I've always had a screen protector on it. I had a dbrand skin on the back to avoid any scuffs and scratches on the back side, and then it's always either been in a slim folio case or in the Magic Keyboard, depending on which one I had at the time. But the part that was always exposed was that outer ring, right? So the outside of it, so it always got a decent amount of scratches, some scuffs, especially if I just threw it in a backpack. So what the Pitaka case does is give you this ultra thin kind of solution to that not only protects all the sides and corners of the iPad Pro, but also allows you to bypass that 3-magnet pin connector, and then also allow you to use the Magic Keyboard with that case on. So it's an all-around 360 protection, which I absolutely love, and it matches my my carbon fiber aesthetic, or that aramid fiber aesthetic that I really like. The next tech product is actually pretty cool, and it doesn't actually have any tech in it. This is the Tech Taffy, right? So let me flip that up. My wife actually got it for me for Christmas, and it's actually really cool. So basically, if you guys have ever used one of those air pressure things to kind of blow out things from underneath a keyboard or a keyboard key or something like that, this does essentially the same thing. So it's a little piece of a taffy that you roll up, and then you kind of just stick everything away from it, right? So you put it on the keyboard, and it cleans the keyboard, and it's great for the Magic Keyboard because it just makes sure that nothing gets underneath those keys, and it's reusable. And so far it's been awesome, guys. So I recommend getting something like this to kind of get rid of all that stuff, because you can't really use a lint roller on a keyboard. So this is the next best thing. So the next section of this video has to do with the sound, so how we actually listen to the iPad. So the iPad Pro has those quad speakers, which on their own are freaking outstanding, especially when you take into account how small it is, how thin it is, and where it's coming from. And that alone is awesome, right? But I'm a big advocate for the AirPods Pro, or any AirPods, because of how easy it is to just take them on and off, and how easy it is to connect and sync across all of your Apple devices. But I've been using the AirPods Pro since they came out. They're in that little Pitaka case to make sure, again, that they're protected, avoid any scuffs and scratches. And I would recommend the AirPods Pro to pretty much anybody that has an Apple product. And they're on sale right now at Best Buy for $200 instead of that $250 from Apple. So I highly recommend getting yourself a pair of AirPods Pro, or just anything in the AirPods lineup, because of just how convenient they are. And then the latest addition to my actual desk has to be the HomePod Mini. So I've been using the HomePod Mini a few days now. It's a recent purchase, but I've been in love with it. Yes, it's tiny, but what you get from a sound perspective is absolutely unreal, and it pairs perfectly with my iPad Pro. If I did have 2 of them, I could do stereo sound, but for right now, the one will have to do. But that is what I use whenever I'm playing stuff out loud, which is usually just music, whenever I'm getting a bunch of monotonous tasks done. So from a sound perspective, that's all I have. I have AirPods as my headphones, and then I have the HomePod Mini as my Bluetooth speaker per se. And I'm not an Apple Music user, so I have to AirPlay my stuff with Spotify, which, I wish I was able to kind of just tap to hand off, but unfortunately that's what we got right now. But for how big it is, how nice looking it is, the sound is outstanding. And now let's jump into the actual productivity part of the iPad Pro and the accessories that I use on a daily basis to make myself be able to get through my work tasks done a lot quicker. So the first thing that we got to talk about is obviously the Magic Keyboard case. I think it came out in April or May of last year. So yes, it is a very expensive accessory. It's still at $350. Maybe Best Buy or Amazon has like $20 or $30 off, but $350 for an accessory, it's hard to recommend. Even though I am in love with it, and if you have the money, you will not be disappointed with the product that you're getting. But there's a couple other things that I use in alternatives that we can get kind of the same thing out of, right? So the first thing has to be my MX Anywhere S2 mouse. Now I think the S3 actually recently came out, which added a USB-C input to charge it, which I think is awesome, because that's my one complaint about the S2, was that to charge it you gotta use micro USB, but at the same time I've had it for a little over a year now, and I think I've charged it probably 2 or 3 times in total, and you just leave it plugged in overnight and you're good to go for months on end. And I think it's a great size for the mouse. It's very comfortable, it has a good weight to it, it has all the buttons that I would need in order to do shortcuts on the iPad Pro. So it's not an MX Master, but it's the next best thing, and I would consider it the cheapest quality mouse that you could get. And then next up has to do with data transfer, right? So the first one is this little hub that I have from Satechi. It's their hyperdrive. It only has 4 ports, so it has an HDMI, an auxiliary cable, 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB-A, and then a USB-C pass-through, right? So that is the one that I use when I'm on the go, so it hasn't been used too much, and it's always in my emergency travel kit. But then I have another one, which is a 9-in-1 by Initech, which comes with its own little cable. And at this point, you do need a USB-C hub in order to transfer files. So if you need an SD card reader, the Initech is the way to go. If you just need something with another USB-C port or USB-A port, then you can go with a smaller one from Satechi. But at the end of the day, you're gonna need more than just that one USB-C port, especially if you gotta charge and do one more thing. So that's the one thing about an iPad Pro. It just has one port for data throughput. And then to go along with that, I have my RAV Power 500GB SSD. I think it's about around $80 right now. It's on Amazon. All the products that I have will be listed down below, so if you guys want to check them out, by all means, go for it. But this is where I store pretty much all of my finalized videos, right? So I rarely keep clips from these videos just because I don't want to take up too much space, and I don't want to start to get big NAS servers or other ways to kind of store a ton of data. I save my finalized video before I upload it, put it onto that RAV Power SSD, then upload the video, and then that's where I store it, and that's where it stays. So I have an awesome catalog of about probably 1.5 years worth of videos in 500GB, and I still have plenty more. So recommend getting a RAV Power SSD, or any SSD for that matter, that fits your budget, because if you do want to get a cheaper version of the iPad, the best way to save money is to lower on space. This one is 256GB, and it's very rare that I actually run out of space. It's only happened one time, and after a quick cleanup and moving everything over to the SSD, I was good to go. And then this also goes hand in hand with the productivity, because some people like to use their iPads on stands. So this is a very cheap stand by Lamicall. I think it's $11 or $12. It's made out of aluminum. It has that Apple aesthetic, that Apple feel, and it's just very sturdy, and it folds up beautifully to fit into any bag. And then, like I said, if you want a keyboard alternative to the Magic Keyboard and you just want a desk setup, pairing the MX Anywhere mouse with that Lamicall stand and then a Satechi keyboard, it's a game changer. It's a $100 alternative to that $350 Magic Keyboard option, and if you really want to, you can move it around, because all you do is you put your iPad in your bag, you throw the keyboard in there and the mouse, and then you have a mobile desk setup, guys. And then the last few things that I do want to touch on is power. So if you guys have been following me, especially on the iPad OS release videos that I create, you guys can see that my battery has actually been dwindling more and more, right? And again, it could be a combination of a lot of things. I have a 2-year-old battery, I always keep it plugged in, it's always attached to the Magic Keyboard, so I'm definitely not giving it its best chance to survive in terms of a battery, but I'm getting around 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours if I really try to conserve battery, especially when I'm on the Magic Keyboard, which is always on the Magic Keyboards. So I got a couple solutions if you guys want to charge up quickly or charge up on the go. So the first one is this GAN charger by Aukey. It is a 3-port 90-watt PD charger. So from one of the USB-C ports, you get 90 watts. If you use both of them, it's a smart charger. So whatever you have plugged into the one that needs the most power, it'll take most of the power to that one, and then whatever is left over will go to the second device. So if you need to charge something at 60 watts and then an iPhone at 80 watts, it'll know how to do that. And there's also a USB-A that gives you up to 18 watts if you still have a USB-A to Lightning cable. And this is a great solution, especially because Apple is forgetting to include power bricks all of a sudden, you know? It's the world we live in, guys. But that's by Aukey. It's a great option if you guys need a cheap, fast charger that can charge pretty much all of your devices, because that one can do it all. It can charge my iPad Pro, it can charge my iPhone, it can charge my MacBook, guys. And then for an on-the-go solution, I have one by Anchor. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour one. It's a cheap option to always carry in your bag with you. That always stays charged up and it's always in my bag or on my person no matter where I'm going. Like I said, it's a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. You have a USB-C PD, and then you also have a USB-A that gives you 18 watts of power as well, and it charges via USB-C. So those are pretty much all the accessories that I've used on a daily basis in 2020, minus the HomePod Mini because that one I got fairly recently, and I really wanted to include it in this video, and it pairs very well with the iPad Pro. So if you need a cinema-style experience to watch something, those two in a pair, it's a beautiful thing, guys. But that's gonna do it for this video. Like I said, all the items are in the description below if you guys wanna check any of them out, and huge shout out to channel sponsor Paperlike again for making 2020 just a little bit better, guys. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time,